We continue to follow breaking news here. Some sad news to pass along in the NFL. Marty Schottenheimer is died at the age of 77. Did so on Monday in Charlotte, North Carolina. Family says he passed peacefully, had been dealing with Alzheimer's since 2014. Just one of 8 coaches with at least 200 NFL wins, also 2004's NFL Coach of the Year. Marty Schottenheimer, known for Marty Ball, had 4 different stops along the way. The Browns, Chiefs, Washington football team, as well as the Chargers. Also played in the NFL himself as a linebacker for 6 seasons with the Bills and Patriots. All right, let's bring in Amy Trask here, NFL analyst for CBS Sports, former CEO of the Raiders, a longtime nemesis of Marty on many Sundays there. Amy, first off, your thoughts here on the passing of Marty Schottenheimer.
Well, it tugged at my heart, and my thoughts are with his family. He was a very large factor, a large presence in my years with the Raiders, and thinking of his family today.
What can you tell us more? As I mentioned, many Sundays you were on the opposing side going up against his teams. Do you have a story you can share with us about Marty Schottenheimer?
I do. During my years with the Raiders-Chiefs rivalry was something different than many other rivalries. We were fierce, fierce, fierce opponents on the field. And as we understood it with the Raiders, Marty instituted something called Raider Week. And that was the week before we played the Chiefs, whether it was in Kansas City or in Los Angeles and then in Oakland. It was Raider Week, and they just got their hate on for the Raiders. I've spoken to former Chiefs who said, yes, Amy, it was real. Marty had Raider Week, and we played Kansas City played the Raiders with an extra vengeance. And then at one point, something, it was a sad moment, but something very special happened. Marty really, I'm sorry we're being photobombed by a cat right now. At this, sad moment, we now have a visitor behind us. Marty really, really did dislike us. He disliked us, he disliked Al, and he was very open with that about people. And then he learned about something. When Derek Brooks was sick, Al went to visit Derek in the hospital. He told no one. There was no fanfare. Nobody told PR. Nobody let it out publicly. Al just went to spend some time with Derek Brooks in the hospital. And much later, Marty learned about that. And Marty contacted me and said, I now have an entirely different view of Al than I did before. But it was still a fierce, fierce rivalry on the field, a special relationship off the field.
That is a great story, Amy. Appreciate you sharing that with us here. And it's okay to have a visitor here reflecting back as we do on Marty's life here. Let me see here. How do you describe what it's like going up against Marty Schottenheimer and Marty Ball? How would you describe that to someone that's not as familiar with him as a head coach?
Well, it was, as I said, something extra special. Football is a game of emotions. Players feed off emotions, and Marty did everything he could to energize his team to play us with the venom he had for us. But again, that venom was reserved for Raider Week leading up to when the Chiefs played the Raiders, and it was reserved for on the field. I had the opportunity to interact with Marty at league meetings throughout my career, and that venom that was apparent on game day was not apparent off the field. He always had his team ready to play us. It was a team that gave us fits at times. I remember when we once beat the Chiefs in a very, very, very important game in Kansas City. And that was hard. Playing in Kansas City was hard. I wanted to run through that stadium singing, "Oh, what a beautiful morning," but I was counseled not to do so. And I remember seeing Marty after that game, and all I did was smile.
Amy, what are your thoughts on his best team? I mentioned the stops that he had some wonderful teams that got close, but not ultimately to Super Bowl Sunday and winning that Lombardi. When you look back at some of the great ones that he had, which one do you think, in terms of his tenure, do you think had the best shot, best team?
Boy, I am sorry. I could not identify one team. Again, we played them twice a year, every year throughout my career. Of course, Marty wasn't the coach throughout my career, but we played them twice a year. And I would bet if you asked other people in the organization with me at the time, and you're asking me now, I'd say he gave us fits most every time we played them. I can't identify one team.
His coaching tree is still being felt in the NFL right now. His family tree is among those in the NFL coaching ranks. What do you think the legacy of Marty Schottenheimer has been and will continue to be?
He was a tremendous coach. He did what the best coaches do. He best positioned his players to be their best. He didn't try to cram players into schemes for which they were unsuited. He built around his players. I think another part of his legacy will be, as you mentioned, his tree. He was a teacher. He taught others how to coach, whether by example or more directly, he taught others. And I think that legacy will live on for decades.
Amy, thank you for waking up and joining us here on CBS Sports HQ to give us some insight and perspective on Marty Schottenheimer. And again, a great story. Thank you so much. And again, we're remembering the life of Marty Schottenheimer, 77 years old, passing away here on Monday. His family issuing a statement saying that he passed peacefully in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, the coach had been dealing with Alzheimer's since 2014. Again, one of 8 coaches with at least 200 NFL wins and a Coach of the Year award in 2004 with the then San Diego Chargers.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.